Welcome. My name is Allison Pierre. I'm an attorney and a former prosecutor. I'm the head of Innovative Prosecution Consulting, and what we do is we serve as a technical research partner for state prosecutor offices. I'm really excited because I'm very passionate about prosecutor reform, and what we do is we bring data and technology into a prosecutor's office to help them implement reform. What we're going to do is go over a series of highlights from a couple of prosecutor offices from around the country. And we're going to start with the Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney's Office in Virginia. Now, I'm going to just highlight some of the major points of this dashboard. The first thing that this dashboard gives is it talks about bond reform. And bond reform is something that's been talked about for a while in our country. And I'll give you a snapshot of what it means. If somebody gets arrested, let's say if I get arrested and I'm in court and I'm charged with a crime, I'm charged by the prosecutor's office as well as I'm in court, and the judge will decide whether to hold or release me until the next court date. And that's what's called bail or bond. Cash bail would mean if I want to leave the court to go to the next court date and go home, I have to post bail. Let's say it's $1,000. The problem with that is that if you have money, you get to go home, but if you don't have the money to pay the $1,000, then you're held in jail. And that is the whole challenge with that, because you're incarcerated. What they did at the Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney's Office is something that was really transformational. They decided to get rid of that analysis based on the wealth of the defendant. Instead, they made the decision on whether to recommend to hold or release a defendant based on the dangerousness of the defendant to the community. Now let's go right to the dashboard. There's three things I'm going to talk about with this dashboard. The first thing is messaging. What's really important for a dashboard is that it's a tool for an elected to build trust with his constituents. And this is a letter from Commonwealth Attorney Stephen Toscano, where he talks about the big picture of trying to put together not just a bond policy, but a whole data program. And he writes about it in this letter. So that's the first key. He's talking directly to his constituents about what he's implementing. The second piece about this dashboard is it measures the effectiveness of the policy that he set. His policy is written here. What they're trying to show is they're trying to train lawyers in the office to recommend that for nonviolent misdemeanors and felonies, that those defendants should be released until the next court date. This is around the time the policy was set by the elected. But as you see here, only about 52% of the time for nonviolent felonies, prosecutors were following that policy. They were only asking for the defendant to be released half the time, when it really arguably should have been higher. And the same was true for misdemeanor cases. There was training with those prosecutors about the rationale for the policy, how it relates to fairness and dangerousness, meaning you should ask for a defendant to be released if they don't pose a danger to the community. And you see the number goes up from 52% to 78% for felony cases, and then for misdemeanor cases, 62 to 87%. So the purpose is to show that there's an involvement of the behavior mindset of the prosecutors, because they're following the bond policy and making a decision that's allowing defendants to go home when they should. Now, we talked about the messaging so far of the elected to his constituents, and we talked about how to look at a bond policy with a dashboard. Now we're going to talk about how do you explain the criminal justice system to people who don't have a background in it. And what I'm going to do is show you on the dashboard, you have two videos. One is here, welcoming everyone to the dashboard. Then there's another video down here that talks about what happens when you get arrested. I'm going to play a little snippet from each video, and then we'll go on.
Hi, this is Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Toscano. I'm very excited to introduce you to our office's brand new data program. We've been collecting data and now we are releasing it to the public for transparency purposes, but also so that you know what's going on and you can hold us accountable for what we're doing in court. We're also going to be using the data internally as well. We're going to be using it for training purposes to make sure our policies are working right, to see where we're doing well, and also to see where we have areas for improvement.
The purpose of that video was to show how the policy works, how it's being implemented, and what needs to continue on for the future. And this video is going to provide a little bit of an animation about how the criminal justice system works.
Hi, everyone. This is Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano. Today, I'd like to give you an overview of what happens in our criminal justice system after an arrest is made.
I'm going to scroll a little bit further because I want to show the animation part.
The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office is typically not involved in this step. The purpose of an arraignment is to determine whether the defendant needs a public defender.
Now, this video is about 7 minutes long, so it gives a full explanation of what happens from arrest to sentencing, but it specifically covers bond. As you see on the right side, you have the narrative section talking about what is the purpose of a data program, explaining bond and cash bail. And then you have at the bottom infographics here, another way to illustrate the point of what happens to a case from arrest to sentence. And then at the very bottom, another infographic, a diagram. The point of this dashboard is that it's really a great messaging tool about what the elected has decided to do in showing progress toward that goal. For our next video, we're going to cover another prosecutor's office. It's the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, and they have one of the most sophisticated data programs and dashboards in the country. Stay tuned.